I know we had registrations from many different places, so welcome from here to you, wherever you are. It's a tough week, huh? It's Friday. Not sure about you, but this week has been a challenge. For me, I think it's day 22 in isolation, so that's not easy. And I guess one thing I want to start with saying it's okay to be not okay. And I know for me, certain times or certain days that happens. I've just come off running 2 days of online workshops, just like this, for 2 entire days. So that has certainly been an interesting challenge. A bunch of new skills, and when my internet cuts out at least 6 times a day, that makes for very challenging times. But yes, it's okay to not be okay. So I think that's a good place to start our conversation today. So we're here to talk about how to cope in our research times. And where do we start, hey? There's so much to talk about. In the changing times, in terms of what we're allowed to do now, that certainly limits our capacity as researchers to continue our research projects. What does that mean? What's our plan B? I mean, we've never really had a plan B because we never needed a plan B, but we now need a plan B. So I'm not sure if you've given any thought to what that is for you. I certainly have been trying to think of what that looks like for me and the research that I do. In some ways, my hand has been forced. So I have a partnership with a university, and their ethics department came to us and said, we need to change the methods that you're using, adjust them, because this is no longer possible. So you may be in a similar situation. So it's not like you have a choice to change. We need to change. And I guess some people I guess, are talking about this as being our new normal. And I guess in some ways it is. What does that mean? I guess, what does that mean? I'm going to talk you through a few things around that. Now, this is a Q&A, but I wanted to talk through a few things first. Give me about 15 minutes. I thought I'll talk through maybe some ways to cope, and then that might spark some conversation. By all means, feel free to pop some questions in the chat box along the way. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box. I probably should be a bit clearer about myself. So I am a researcher. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a consultant. I run 2 companies. One is a consulting company for qualitative research, and the other is a not-for-profit trying to engage young girls in STEM. So for me, my job as a researcher, in part, is to help my fellow researchers, you, to navigate the world of research. And I've certainly been very fortunate and have quite a lot of experience in a lot of different ways, and I want to be able to share some of that with you. And because I've worked on lots of different projects, I feel that I'm pretty adaptable to whatever situation we have. So again, hopefully I can share some of that with you. And I work with a lot of researchers, and I get to see a lot of research projects, and I love that. It's fabulous. So yeah, I really like the ability to, I guess, work with you and do what we can together. So like I said, by all means, pop some questions in the chat. I do want this to be interactive, so I would like your comments and feel free to, it can be as broad as you need it to be. So I've got Amy with us, who is just uploading some slides for us, I think, and talk through a few things. So one thing I've found a bit of solace in lately is maybe some podcasts. And I'll use what's there, that's fine. That's right. I'm just going to upload some slides. Give me 1 second there. A little challenge. Moving things from computer to computer and it's not working out as much as I'd like. These are the new times, though. I'm not sure if you saw that. I think it was Zoom went down last week. I know when I was teaching, Adobe Connect went down, making things a little bit challenging when I was trying to teach. So again, this is our challenge now. We make the most of it. It's teaching us to be agile. Set up. Excellent, Kylie. So thank you so much. Yeah, challenging times. So I guess for me, adapting research. So here I am running 2-day face-to-face workshops in Sydney and Melbourne last week, this week, moving them online, getting everyone in a virtual room together, hoping internet works, and it doesn't, of course. My husband had to go and buy me a modem in the middle of the session too, because I was distraught, to be honest, because I felt I was letting everyone down because I'd committed to delivering this work, which I normally like to say I do pretty well, helping people with research, and for some reason suddenly I can't do what I would normally do, and so you're probably feeling that as well. That there's this constraint, I guess, on um, how you feel about what you have control over. And I posted something on my Instagram a few days ago about what you do have control over, and there's not a lot that you do. So, but the things that you can, that's what we need to be focusing on. So it's controlling over those things that we can. Amy, very kindly. Okay, I think I'm sharing that now. I hope. Yes. Actually, so welcome again. Bringing us back to one thing I'd like to start the session with. If I can bring up my whiteboard, actually, let me step back a step. If you want to share with me on the whiteboard a word of how you're feeling right now, you're only allowed one word. Pop a word into the. You're welcome to draw it, whatever. Give it a go in the whiteboard. It's good for our dexterity skills. Um, I don't know who's writing what, so there's no connection there. So just write one word about how you're feeling right now. Yeah, wow. It's a bit of a pattern here. Good to draw a little bit, right? We probably should be doing more of that. Yes, unprecedented times we keep talking about. Thanks for sharing that with me. Appreciate that. That's powerful. But know that we're here for you. So we're here to help in any way that we can, and we want to be offering as much free stuff to people who need it. I mean, we're not here to make money out of you. That's absolutely not the point. It's about being here and knowing you've got other people to support you and you're not alone. Because I think we all need that from as many places as we can get at the moment. So thanks for that. Just going to pop back to the soft files for a moment. So just a couple of things I wanted to talk you through, which hopefully will help. So this is some advice that I've sort of heard in a variety of places recently. I just want to share a little bit of it, hoping that it'll help you as well. So interesting if we think of the word emotion. Break it down, emotion. It's essentially energy and motion. And so have a think about that, because today and every day we're so full of emotion right now. So have a think about what that emotion is and how we can get through it, essentially, and where we want to put that energy. And now as researchers, in some ways it's a researcher's dream to have time to do stuff and get stuff done. So in some way it is a blessing for that, if you're in a position to make the most of that. And so I encourage you to, and they talk about, maybe it's time to go on a holiday. Well, for me, no, it's actually a time to be really productive, I hope. And yes, fall apart many times along the way, but time to be productive as well, particularly around the thinking time, because you have time to think, which is absolutely what we always need as researchers, and we never get the time to think as researchers. I used to go on research retreats with colleagues. I had 2 or 3 colleagues that would go down to my friend's farm down in Victoria, and her husband would luckily cook for us, and they had us far at the end of the day. But we would spend days and days and days doing research together just because we needed that time to get into it. So think about where you want to spend your energy. So I'm going to give you some suggestions on where I think you should spend your energy, but have a good think about what you're doing with your time and energy. I saw this recently through a business school that I'm part of, and they talked about we're actually going through a whole cycle of grief right now. And I think it's kind of important to recognize that. And so we start off with denial of this can't be happening. Like, how, seriously, a month ago I was in Sydney, I was with friends, I was out for dinner, we did all this stuff. Like, how are we now in lockdown for 23 days? Like, mind blowing. Okay, so denial, it's not happening, it can't be happening. And you see some world leaders still doing that, sadly, which is going to not turn out very well. And then we go into this depression, and this is very iterative, by the way, too. It's not a very linear thing. It's like any kind of research model, we go back and forward, as you can see. And then we're like, oh, this is just awful. for so many reasons. And then I guess there's some kind of anger, like, how did this happen? How do we get here? What's going on? Like, this is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. And then some level of acceptance, and I don't know when that's going to happen. I think I go through stages where I think, okay, yeah, I kind of accept this, and there are some positives coming out of it, which I really kind of like to think about. I think it's good to maybe write them down, what the positives are. I mean, less pollution in the world in terms of emissions and all sorts of things. Probably less car accidents. There's a whole bunch of positive things. I think people spending time with their families that they never get time to do, even though they might be spending a little bit too much time, but you get the idea. So I think it's a cycle, and I kind of jump forward and back between the different parts of this model. I think I kind of go round and round, and each day I have a bit of each in each day, to be honest, and I think that's okay. Realizing that we're going through grief of a life that we no longer have, grief of a society we no longer have, grief of people we no longer have. So I think all of those things together are really, really profound and important, and we need to just kind of hopefully work through those emotions and see again, where do we put our energy, and trying to put our energy further down to the pink level if we can, but it takes time to get there. We're not going to get there easily. So let's move on from that, because that's pretty challenging, right? So I've got some tips. Now, this was supposed to animate and all of that, but changed computers, it didn't happen. You know, we work with that. So my suggestion firstly is have a 12-week plan. Okay, so we're going to be in this for a while. So I'm suggesting we have a bit of a 12-week plan. Yes, thanks, Amy. Awesome. So yes, 12-week plan. So this was some advice I got from the leader of our business school a couple of days ago in a webinar that I was watching, which gratefully he did. And the 12-week plan says, okay, for 12 weeks, what do we want to achieve at the end of the 12 weeks? And it's not about achieving per se, but what's something we can feel good about that we might have done at the end of 12 weeks? And as we're researchers, so research-wise, what's something that I've sort of kind of always wanted to do? And what can be a week by week, you know, maybe I write 2,500 words a week. I think there's someone on our session here who I know who used to have a goal of writing 5,000 words a week doing a PhD. And I think you might not get there, but it's a goal. Have a goal. Give it a go. Have a plan. And imagine at the end of 12 weeks, 5,000 words a week. Add that up. That's not bad. That's 60,000 words. Okay, it might not all be great, but have a goal. 1,000 words a day. Read 2 papers a day. Have a plan. One thing I'd like you to do is to start thinking about, and I am going to pop again back to my whiteboard because I love the fact we have this, is as part of that 12-week plan, each week I want you to come up with a word, and that word will kind of shape your activities for that week. So have a go on the whiteboard as well, and I'll add a few in of what I'm thinking. So, you know, 1 week for me, it might be just really about thinking. What do I need to think about? What do I need to think about to finish my research project or to move forward in whatever I want to do? What do I actually need to sit and think about and spend some dedicated time each day? Maybe 1 week it might be acceptance. Maybe that's something I need to practice one day. So have a go and just have a think about what some of those words might be and have a focus each week. I think what we need right now is a little bit of routine and a little bit of focus. So let's find a way of trying to get that. And I think these words can probably help us. So it might be, but one thing I probably want to do next week, to be really honest, is tune out. I'm going to have a go with my drawing skills and see how that goes. Feel free to pop some words in there. I think we need some focus, and this will really help us. Like it. I like it. Calm, calm, calm. Absolutely. Create. I think I need to do more creating. I agree. I agree with that. I really, really like that so much. Planning. Absolutely. Resetting. Exploring ideas. Going easy on ourselves. Refining. Oh, I like that. reviewing, connecting. And it's a new kind of connecting, right? We're getting used to doing things. And I mean, we're physically distancing, but we're absolutely not social distancing. I'm not sure that I've been this social in a long time, to be honest, online. Connecting with people, having everyday drinks, and it's lovely. And why don't we do this all the time? Really? I guess because we're always running around. So much to do. Oh, I love focus. Focus is fabulous. I love focus. I think they're supposed to say, that is me, and it's supposed to say breathe, which it doesn't really, but something happened to my pencil. That's supposed to say breathe. Wow, that's a pretty fabulous lineup as well. I really like it. Yeah, so let's have a plan. So I think that's our first thing. Have a plan. 12 weeks. Have a theme for each week. And you don't have to 1000% stick to it, but have a goal. We can't help. I think we need some focus and direction right now. So let's get back to my slides. So just a couple of things. So plan. We've got a plan. We've got a word per week. I love it. Thank you for that. I think turn off the news. I think we're so drawn to it, but I think it's just exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. So I think turn it off. Watch once a day if you need to, but turn it off. Turn it off. Don't have the constant feed going all the time. I'll turn the video on. You will. Okay, so don't do it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that's the best advice I was given by one of my yogis a very long time ago. Anyway, that's not an easy one. I think try and separate facts from feelings. I think we hear things and try to separate what might hopefully be true with how we feel about it. I think there's a really important distinction there between that. So I think we need to try to make choices based on love, not fear. I think it's easy to react out of fear, and I think we need to catch ourselves when we can around that and recognize what it is and hopefully be okay with that. So I want to ask you, so what are some of the positive things you've had in your inbox in the last week or on social media or something? Try to have a think about what makes you feel good and share that kind of message. Try not to spread the chatter and negative energy. I think we've got enough out there. We don't need you to add to it. So I think please do try to be positive even though you don't feel like it all the time. Where other people are concerned as well, and your family. I mean, they want to hear from you, and you're not the voice that you have in your head. Okay, you're this little quiet presence that watches it. You're not the voice you have in your head. So try and let some of that stuff go. And it's not about getting rid of those sort of the fear, but choosing different responses, which I think we all can probably try and do. I'm talking to you as much as I am to myself. So what I suggest is some projects. So I'm going to hand over to you for some Q&A soon if you have any questions. And if not, that's okay. Hopefully you've gotten something out of today. This for me is something very uncomfortable to do. This is not something I would normally do. But I thought if I can add something and help you with one little thing, then I'm more than happy to do that. Just before I do, this was really useful. Something I saw on Facebook, which I don't spend too much time on, but I saw this yesterday and I think it's awesome. We're not working from home. Most of us are not working from home. I don't have an office set up working from home. As you can see, I've got a green screen I'm going to set up and other stuff. But at the moment, I'm not set up for working from home to do this. Okay, but we're all at home during a crisis. We're trying to work, so we're not working from home. It's a completely different situation than if we were. So try not to think of it like that, because that's actually kind of false. And it gives us false expectations if we say we're working from home. We're at home in a crisis trying to work. That's what we're trying to do. I have a big cat next to me who's saying hello. Anyway, he doesn't want to be on film. Your personal, physical, mental, and emotional health is far more important than anything else right now. Anything else. The deadline. Anything else. We have to kind of laugh, right? Sorry, I don't mean to make that in anything minor, but okay. Don't try to compensate for your lost productivity.
by doing extra hours. I've noticed my husband doing this recently. You can't do that. Don't spend more time working at home than you would working at work. Be kind to yourself. And don't judge how you're coping based on others. Don't follow people's Facebook who are going, this is awesome, we've got it sorted. Okay? It's okay. It's not okay. And vice versa, being kind to others. And your success won't be judged in the same way if things were normal. So don't think you have to actually do the same things you were doing before. Give yourself a break. If you're homeschooling, maybe science lesson is making a cake rather than sitting and doing something on the computer. My colleague, her kids rolling big, what are they? Big tires down a hill on a farm. It's like, there's a physics lesson there, you know. It's okay. Give yourself a break. And give your kids a break. And kind of tear up some of their lesson plans that, you know, require them to sit online for 8 hours a day. It's ridiculous. It's not possible. Okay, some projects. So my suggestion is get digital savvy. Now's an awesome time to do that. Learn how to do online videos, which is something that I'm trying to do, and I realize I'm not looking at my camera, which I should. I'm told I should. But no, I'm learning. I'm in a group where we have to post a video every week and just trying to get digitally savvy. So getting my technology sorted out. I've got lights, I've bought a mic, I've bought stuff I don't know what to do with, but my challenge to myself is to work it out. Now's the time. Now's the best time of ever. So think about a project that you can do to get digitally savvy. What have you wanted to learn for a long time? Maybe it's in Vivo. It comes from one of my courses. Would love that. But maybe it's just cracking your EndNote library and how to get it right. I don't know. Think about what you want it to be. I think now more than ever, read a lot. Read at least one research article every day. Okay, if you're doing a degree or something, or even just all of us, we should be reading something. Should be reading something really good every day. Something really practical. And starting to add to whatever project we're working on. Or even a chapter of a book or whatever we've been wanting to do for a really long time, but now is our time to read. Now, I say anytime we do research, we write when we read. So make sure you write sometime you read as well. And I think now more than ever as researchers, let's organize our literature. How much of a mess is your literature in? You don't have to say that to me, but I'm sure it's probably messy, as most people's is. I've got some online, sorry, my phone's going off. I've got some online workbooks that are free that you can go to and have a look about how to organize your literature. Got some online courses and things to help you to organize your stuff. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But now's the time to actually spend some time and really do it. And I'm a big fan of what I call the adding in method. So we add in one paper or 2 papers a day. So let's say we've got an EndNote library or an Vivo project or whatever tool you might use. Add in 2 papers a day. Read 2 papers and summarize them both every single day. Really good practice. Think of the end of this, how many papers you're going to have done. You're going to smash it out of the park. So they're my tips. So that's all I have in terms of content. I didn't want to spend time doing content, but I want to open up for Q&A. And if you have some questions, suggestions, comments, challenges you share, by all means, unmute yourself, chat to us, pop in the chat box, whatever you'd like to do. Any comments about what we said today? I think most of all, be kind to yourself and everyone around you, because we've never been here before. Our generation or everyone that's alive right now really hasn't been there before, and we don't know what this is and how to deal with it. So everything is new, and so we need to treat it as such and don't expect that what we had before. So over to you if you have any questions. So otherwise I'm going to throw a question out to you while you're thinking of something to ask me. I mean, one thing I'd like to know is what brought you here today? What made you give up an hour of your time to spend with me? And you're welcome to pop in the chat or say something, but I'd really love to know what's going on in your world and what are your biggest challenges right now. Cool, thanks Vanessa. Yeah, I think we need some focus each week, right? It's tough. I feel lost each week. It just feels like it's all going into a big black hole every week at the moment. Like, what do we do each week? It starts out really positive and then it suddenly just disappears and goes, how does that happen? Weekends aren't the same anymore. It's funny. Reading so much misinformation as well that doesn't help. Looking at all these crazy graphs and things. How is that helpful? So one of the things I'm thinking is in terms of, well, how do we move forward with our research? So I put a blog post out this week which talked about how in my experience, the majority of people who do qualitative research, 95% of them do face-to-face interviews. We can't do that anymore. What's our plan B? We can't do face-to-face interviews. So what do we do? It's challenging. It is, absolutely. Testing our flexibility and resilience all the time. Absolutely, Amy. Absolutely. And we need to find new skills to deal with being inside. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I live next to a park and stuff, and I have a backyard, but I know many people don't. And if just to go into your lift, it's probably like illegal right now. So I think it's challenging, right? So Vanessa, I find we have more to do. Yeah, less outputs. I agree, and I've been trying to do that for a while as well, and trying to get people more comfortable with tech rather than face to face, and save like on our missions and things. I know, not have yet more meetings, and how do we make them more productive? Let's say 15-minute meetings. This is what we're doing. This is what we need out of it. How can we make that happen? Because, and I think this idea of let's move all of our kids online. Oh, they'll suddenly be fine to spend 6-8 hours online a day. No, really? Trying to get, we ran a workshop last week with this week, where are the weeks going? It was literally 2 days ago. Amy kind of ran it. But with year 4 students, getting year 4 students to sit still for 2.5 hours, even that is a challenge. Like getting adults to sit still for 2 whole days. How do you do that in an engaging way? So this is interesting for interviews. I mean, if we're going to move our interviews online, how do we do that? I mean, to do online interviews is not an easy thing. Okay, like doing a webinar. I keep not looking at the camera, and I'm going to get myself in trouble from my peers because that's what we're learning right now. But no, I mean, this is not an easy thing to do, and absolutely want to connect with you this way and show you my flaws as well. Like this is not easy, and I kind of know what I'm talking about. I would hope. So Helen, thanks for jumping in. So flattened to work with COVID, trying to get it sorted so you can get back to research. Face-to-face interviews are stagnant. Yep, focus on getting literature notes into in vivo. I love it, Helen. Absolutely. And this is it. Where do you want to put that energy? So, I mean, I have to say, this for me was probably my takeaway for this week, like in terms of being profound. Like emotion. Break it down. Emotion, energy in motion. That's what emotion is. It's energy in motion. Where do we put our energy through our emotion? We have a choice. We absolutely have a choice how we react to things most of the time. And I know that's a very privileged thing to say, but we hopefully most of the time have a choice of how we react and how we spend our energy. So try and thinking about spending your energy in as positive way as you can, and not just maybe watching Netflix for 3 weeks on end, which, no judgment if that's what you decide to do. But I think give yourself a break. Be kind to yourself. If you're having a day where it's really not okay, be not okay. Go hide yourself in a room. Just ordered a whole bunch of, my online deliveries have been out of this planet in the last week because of trying to prepare myself. I bought some restorative yoga kind of bits and pieces because, I just want to do that, like something I've never had time to do. I need it right now. I think we all need it, some way to escape at some level, and we don't want to sort of escape too much because we need to deal with that emotion. We need to direct the energy, but I think we also need some escape and some place for ourselves in our busy houses. We've all got lots of people in our houses. Our houses are not that big usually, so mine's maybe, I don't know. It's challenging having two of us working at home. I have no children, so I'm fortunate that I don't have that extra running around and dealing with, which many of you do, I'm sure. So, yes. I know, right? Develop an online shopping addiction. I'm trying not to, because here's me online teaching and all of these deliveries are arriving, and my husband doesn't actually want to handle the parcels because here we know COVID sits on, cardboard for 24 hours or something. So he's like, what are you doing? Stop ordering things. Stop it. Okay. But yeah. I mean, it's great that people still have jobs. I mean, this is challenging for everyone, right? I mean, so many people are losing their jobs. I'm very fortunate that I'm here with you and able to do this because some of my work is online, and that's okay. And that not everyone has that opportunity to keep that job. So we need to keep supporting local and I think delivery things, even like Amazon, and there's a whole bunch of stuff around that right now, and their safety and health. So yeah, any other comments, any questions? What's my worst online disaster when facilitating interviews? Ooh. That was, not so much interviews, but the last few days, like literally we were starting our online, so we had 2-day workshop. We would normally do face-to-face. I was supposed to be in Melbourne, starting at 8:30 Brisbane time because of daylight savings, normally 9:30 other states. Had, half a dozen people online. 8:28 comes and the internet dies, and it's supposed to be online at 8:30. This happened 2 days in a row. The second day I did burst into tears. I'll be so honest. It was just unbelievable. So much so that my husband actually went out and bought a modem in lunchtime because he couldn't handle me complaining anymore. But yeah, and then here I am. I have to get online, and I've got to do what you got to do. You put on your persona and you act and you do what you have to do because you have to still get the job done. I mean, it's tough. So I'm being really, really honest with you right now. Like, it's tough, and it's okay that it's tough, and just yeah. I mean, I had to go and do some yoga poses and things before I started just to kind of calm down and go, wow, you're going to get through this. You have to get through this. You have no choice. We've committed to something, we're going to do it. But yeah, tech, I mean, no question at all. And now we're all online. We're all expected to be online. Everything's supposed to work. We don't have the NBN we need, or wherever you are, the internet connections maybe that you need. Challenging, right? And let's go and do online interviews. Well, they take bandwidth. It's hard. You don't have the same rapport online necessarily. I've done some online interviews a few years ago, and I remembered how different they were to face-to-face. It's so different. There's distractions that you don't even know about. They're very challenging. So one of the things I've been a proponent of for a very long time is using a variety of methods for our data collection. So I think we should be utilizing things like social media and maybe YouTube and other ways of collecting data from people, personal diaries and a whole bunch of different things, because I think there's value in so many different methods that we don't at all consider. So Kylie, awesome. Yes, we certainly did talk earlier this year. Oh, last year, wasn't it, I guess? Oh, no, this year. Oh, anyway, it's all, what happened in 2020? Oh, I want my money back. Yeah. Excellent 12-week plan. I love it. Love a 12-week plan. Absolutely. And so just a couple other things I wanted to talk about was in terms of your research, have a think about what are you actually committed to right now? So what have you agreed to? Have you got a grant, or have you got, an ethical clearance, or what have you got that you've committed to, or funding from some other source? What have you got committed? What are you committed to right now? So have a good think about that and how we're going to actually make that happen. And so some of the things is around deadlines. So are your deadlines completely fixed, or are they a bit flexible? So some people are kind of giving you extra time for things. I know that I have an abstract for a conference due today. I need to remind myself that. They gave us an extra 2 weeks to get the paper in. So have a think about how we might use some of those. Can we stretch things out a little bit more? Or maybe do we have to change things completely? And I think around things like the ethics, if you're at a university, around personal interaction. So any methods you have that you have personal interaction, you're going to have to change. So what are they, and what's your plan B? You might have to make formal changes at the university. And ethical clearance, I guess, regardless if you need it for your research or not, depending on where you do research, I think is a good thing. It's a great concept. Basically, it's about keeping you and your participants safe. So I think it's really important for us to do that and to keep, all of us where we need to be. And it's about doing good research and being as fair as we can to everyone involved. Awesome, Helen. Look forward to you coming to our workshop for at Griffith. Yes, I'll be doing it online, which will be a whole new experience. I've had some teething, at least practice along the way, so that's good. And I think, what are our other methods? So one thing I do recommend you do in terms of research methods is to come up with a table. List all your different research methods that are available, from surveys to ethnography to case studies and sort of methodology, to experiments, to interviews, to everything, social media. What can we use, and what are the pros and cons of each? And then let's start to map that back to your research questions and what you'd like to do. Love it too. Absolutely. Oh, I'm a fan of these tables, right? I've been having lots of ideas around tables lately. But yeah, absolutely map it out. And you can start to see what it is you actually need to do, and bring it all back together. Awesome. Awesome. So I guess anyone online, what do you think are your biggest, I may have said this before, but maybe it's changed now, your biggest challenges right now with your research, do you think? I mean, you're flattened at work and things. Is there anything specific about your research where, like, how do you get started again, Helen? Like, how do you get back into it? Vanessa, how do you keep your team going doing the research when things are just so distracting at the moment? Everything's kind of, priorities have changed. I mean, we were supposed to be on the ABC 7:30 report for a project that we're doing, and it's like we're doing nothing but COVID right now. We got not a chance. It's like, totally get that, but wow. I mean, we're in this bubble, and I mean, because we've never been anywhere else, it makes sense. But it's challenging. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it's very challenging for a commercial organization. Absolutely. But I guess, and people love face to face. You're so right. And how do we make people feel comfortable being online? And I think the best way to make people feel comfortable online is to actually have try and build a good rapport. So some of the work that I've been doing around doing, good online communication and things, I think is so important, which is a great project for everyone, just around how to actually be engaging online. And I'm just going to pull up my notes here, if I have them, and talk you through a couple of those things, because I thought it was so very useful just to catch yourself, because it's so easy not to get distracted. On if you saw the video where there's a whole bunch of people online doing a video and someone walks their computer to the toilet or something like that. I mean, certainly you don't that person, but yeah, thinking about what does work. Here we go, tips for online. So a few of the tips I thought might be quite useful. Firstly, it's around having an icebreaker. Oops. Having an icebreaker. And like I asked you a question. I asked you to give me a word. That's my icebreaker. I'm giving away my secrets. But we need some energy. We need to make the people feel who we're connected to, that we're really connected with them. So if you're interviewing people, I'm really bad at this. The thing to learn is you need to look at this dot in the camera rather than all around the screen. I'm looking at myself most of the time, but I need to, just because I'm not sure what I'm looking like. Excuse me, but I need to be looking at that dot, and that's challenging in itself, just to practice looking at that dot. Using people's names specifically. Yeah, Jennifer, that's right. Thanks, Kylie. You're on the mark. People's names specifically. I probably haven't done as much of that today as I would like, but that's something that we need to do. And watching the chat at the same time is actually having that interaction. And whether or not you do that in your video interviewing, but having a think about what you want that to look like. What's the output look like? Trying to be interactive, so trying to get you to write on the whiteboard and things, and have a way of connecting. That can be a great tool in your research, I reckon. Having people write on a whiteboard. Get them to actually interact and write words and things. You can use that in your research. That's pretty cool. I think it's going to be a cool data source. Having time to ask questions. So asking questions along the way, which I've tried to do. Again, we try to do as much as we can. Yeah, balance the video and chat. Everyone wants video, but it's not adding value. You're right there, Vanessa, and I agree. Because, you've got children, you've got animals, you've got stuff, and I'm finding it very hard to be online all the time. I did a 3-day conference last week, I think it was. And I was online all the time, and they expected you to be there even though you weren't talking. And I found that very challenging, because I had a bit of a cold touching my face, which I felt really conscious of, and really didn't feel good about that. So I think you need a balance. But on the other side, in our video group, we've been talking about how video gives presence. And I would absolutely prefer not to be on video today as my introvert self, but I figured this is something I need to do. Hopefully it's valuable, me looking as silly as whatever. Not really thinking too much about that. I'm normally in the front of a room, but I thought that would add value. So rather than me just having a picture or something. So I guess it's that balance we're in the middle. So so at least for the full meeting, I agree. No, the meeting, like, yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's trying to find a balance. I've just bought a whole bunch of little bits of equipment. I've got a little hand thing with my phone. I'm trying to work out how to do video and stuff and trying to become a bit of a pro or whatever that looks like. So I think at the moment it's okay to get away with mediocre video, but I think in a month's time, if you want to be interacting with people online, we need to get a lot better at it because we won't put up with it anymore because, you know, we should be better at it by then. So I think it's a really good project to invest in on how to get online. And I keep looking at myself in the bottom corner, so but I think that's what we need to be doing. So Helen, for you, getting your current work project separate to research in a good place, yeah, for end of financial year. That's it. It's again where you want to put your energy. Where is your energy emotion, I think? Where do we want to direct that? And not feel guilty. I think now we feel guilty about everything, right? We should be doing this, we should be doing this. Oh, I'm home all day. How did I not meditate, do yoga, you know, make 5 meals, watch my hour of Netflix? How did I not do all that today? Because I've got so much time. It's like, no, it's okay. You don't need to do all of that every day. Write a little essential list. So my advice to you, one of the best books that I've read recently is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it talks about how we try to be 1% better each day. And that's the sign of building good habits. And to break bad habits, well, I guess we try to take a little bit away each day. And he talks about creating friction or taking friction away. And so you create friction for the things you don't want to do, for the things you shouldn't do, and you try to take away friction for the things that you would like to do. So for me, I probably should have a padlock on my fridge before I get to the wine at the afternoon. But no, something to create friction that you've got to go through a process of getting there to make it easy or hard. And the things that are actually pleasurable in the short term are usually not so beneficial in the long term. And vice versa, the things that are not pleasurable right now are generally beneficial in the long term. So I think thinking about 1% a day, so how can we as people be 1% better each day? Is it that we, you know, start to read a book 1% each day? You read a chapter, you read something, you read a little bit. And it doesn't have to be a huge amount, it just has to be a tiny bit better than yesterday. So for me, and he talks about having a list of, you know, the things that you really want to do each day and prioritize them. Is it flossing your teeth? Is it doing a 10-minute meditation? Is it making a meal? So having a way of just having some priorities, and it doesn't have to be too much. And now's a really good time to do that, to just get that a little bit better every day. We've got, you know, 6 months in lockdown, probably. So how about we do a little bit of something every day and just get that little bit better, and that's all we need to do. And he talks about how if you want to be someone who meditates, just meditate. Again, 10 minutes a day. Just do it. Don't talk about doing it. Just do it, and then you wire it. You want to be a writer? Just write something every day. Write a blog post every day. Write a page of something every day. What doesn't matter? But then you start to become a writer. So it's about doing and using that energy in a way that helps you feel a little better about yourself. And one thing that I've been doing is I've been writing a journal each day, because this is really interesting times, and who knows, you might be able to sell it one day. But document what's going on. This is crazy times. And each day write down some of the things that you're grateful for. And me at the moment, I am really grateful that I don't have to get up to get on a 5 a.m. plane in the foreseeable future. I realized that yesterday, woke up and went, this is actually pretty awesome, that part of it. Yes, online is hard, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's, for me, I'm very grateful for. Yeah, me too, Helen. Love the 1% rule. Like, seriously, just that tiny bit better. Just grab his book. He's awesome. Vanessa and I happened to meet him in the US last year, not a couple of years ago. Last year, it was just in August, wasn't it? Time has flown. But yeah, New York Times bestseller. I follow his Instagram. I get inspired every day. It's good rules to live by. That's right. And the rule is you don't miss it 2 days in a row. So if you kind of commit to something, and if you miss it a day, totally okay. But you don't miss it a second day. So you get back on it and you go. You remind me of that, Vanessa. We get back into it. So yeah, I mean, we have kids following this stuff, so it works. I think, and we all need a place to just kind of, think about what's important right now. And this whole idea of, we go to work to make money, to pay for houses and families that we often don't get to spend time with. And it's this whole cycle of stuff. And how do we now take what we have and really appreciate it, even though we might want to get angry and things for people in our households, but because we're inside all the time. But I think try to work out what's really important right now and make the most of it. But certainly as your research, I think make the most of your research right now. Like, one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given was I did a doctoral consortium as part of my PhD, and I was in my final year. I think I just about starting my final year, and I was very fortunate. I got to go to Paris and to this beautiful conference. No, it wasn't. It was actually dormitory in a university, which was all cement, and it was very uncomfortable. But I got to go with 39 other students from around the world and spend time for 3 days as a doctoral student, learning about what is expected of me as a PhD student for my doctoral research. And there were a couple of things I learned, and one of the main things was you never know the literature as much as you do as when you're a PhD student. And I think now we have a time, as if you're not a PhD student, if you're more general academic, now's a really good time to just read and get to know that stuff again. Just take that time, one a day. This is a goal, but use that time to read as much as you possibly can, because it's hard and it takes head time. Now we've got head time. Leave me alone. Put my headphones on. Let's go and read an article for an hour or two and write something about it. I think now is the best time that you ever can do that, and because we just don't get that luxury any other time. So I don't know what your reading habits are. If you want to pop anything in the chat box. I like to read in the mornings. I find that's when my head is the clearest, to try to get some things down. But coming up with something of a routine, if that makes sense for you. If not, no routine, but just some way of building that thinking time, the reading, the thinking time into the work that you do. I think it's so important, just to easily get distracted and go, I'm not going to do anything, or I'm just going to try to just do endless email kind of thing. That thinking time is so very important, I think the thinking time is important. Funny that. Any other topics, anything you're concerned about or you're excited about, or anything? I'm going to pop back over to my board for a second. Now I want to get you to pop a word in there. How are you feeling now? How are you feeling? Like, actually, one thing you've taken away from this session, and you're only allowed to use one word. Let's do that. What's one thing you're taking away from this session? If you can write it on the whiteboard for me. Yeah, how are you feeling, or one thing you've taken away? Either way is good. Awesome. Motivation, perspective, better. Community for me. We're all in this together, right? I'm all about it takes a village. Research is not easy. We're here together. We need to support each other. I don't know what the next steps are, I'll be really honest. I have absolutely no idea. If you'd like to continue to check in on something like this, by all means, let me know. Happy to have regular sessions. I have an NVivo user group online that you're welcome to join, even if you don't use NVivo. I share all kinds of qualitative research tips and things. That's right, Vanessa, life isn't easy, you're right. And I know I'm, like I said, very fortunate, more than most. And I'm here. That's really all I can say. I'm here if I can help. So I might be far away from you, but reach out. Our email, info@adroitresearch.com.au. Jump on our social media, anything we can do. Any advice, any tips, any resources you need, let us know. And hoping to keep having a conversation like this with you, because I think it's really important for us to have a place to come and be together and be part of, each other's journey, because it's going to be a long one, right? But thank you for giving up your time today and being here, and I wish you the best for the next whatever, and just take each day as it comes. You're welcome. Probably the last thing I'll leave you with, which has been inspiring me every day, is a guy I met recently who does a podcast, and it's called Practicing Human. His name is Cory Muscara, Cory Muscara, and he makes me smile every morning. His podcasts are about 10, 12 minutes long. Love it. Yeah, it makes me smile. He's a very amazing human being. He spent 6 months in Burma not speaking, meditation. He didn't speak for 6 months. He's American. He's incredible. Yeah, so check it out. That's my my suggestion to do if you want a tiny bit of a smile each day and try to help work out how to cope in these challenging times. So thank you, everyone. We do have a recording. We'll pop that out to you if you want to watch. And thanks. Stay safe.